Everyone. Hey. Let's get the meeting going here, folks. Before we stand up and say the pledge, I'd like to wish Nicole a happy birthday. All right, let's stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. And I see a big crowd out here on a rainy Thursday evening. Okay. Sweet. All right. First thing I like to do on this agenda is we've already sworn our new manager in, but for the sake of it, we'd like to get him back up here and do it again in front of everybody.
Make sure it sticks.
Make sure it sticks.
So he can't get out
He
of it.
can't, yeah, we've had him for a week. He's doing pretty good. We'll swear him in again.
Eyeing the exits.
Okay. Let's see. Am I holding this right for us?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Put your hand on here. All right. I, Matthew McCarahan,
I, Matthew McCarahan,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina
and to the Constitution, powers, and authorities,
and to the Constitution,
powers,
powers, and authorities
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend
and that I will endeavor to maintain, support, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and ability,
and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I, Matthew McCarahan,
I, Matthew McCarahan,
do furtherly solemnly swear
do further solemnly swear
that I will execute the office of town manager
that I will execute the office of town manager
for the town of Mills River, North Carolina,
for the town of Mills River, North Carolina,
without prejudice, favor,
without prejudice, favor,
affection, or partiality,
affection, or impartiality,
to the best of my skill and ability,
to the best of my skill and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
This, the 29th day of July, 2024.
This, the 29th day of July, 2024.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Glad to
you.
have you on board
Appreciate
again.
it. Thank you.
Now shake and look towards.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
That's all. Thank you. All right. Now we're down to the approval of the agenda. Is everybody okay with the agenda?
I'd like to pull the minutes off the consent agenda.
Okay. For July the 11th, 2024, is that okay? What do you want to do with them? You want to put them down for discussion in the regular agenda? Okay, so we're going to make them D. I got, that's her, do we need a first and a second on that? Since it's an agenda item, I'm not real sure on that one.
No, what you do is you approve the amended agenda for
Exactly.
the first and
Thank you,
second.
thank you. Okay, so I got it down there. Anybody need anything else relocated, done anything with? Yes. Do you want, you want to put it in here for a discussion item and then let's decide at that point? Let's do that. Let's do that. So E will be, let's discuss the rural residential rezone. Anything else? Okay. Hearing none, will somebody make a motion to approve our amended agenda? Okay, second? Jeff, okay. Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, okay. Now we're down to our public comment section. I know I've got several signed up. I know we got a few to read in. And we got one that's got a little bit of presentation with his. So, do y'all prefer to read them first or hear the public and go from there? Just in case one of them showed up and might talk for themselves. All right, let's do that. We'll call Jack Walsh up first. I'll remind everybody that we give everybody 3 minutes, you'll hear a little buzzer go off. You got a little bit of time after that, but try not to make it too lengthy.
Before the clock starts, I asked the mayor if there was a way to screen share these images to any of the screens in this building, and there was not. So there are some images that I want to enter
Okay,
at some point.
sure.
I don't know if you all getting them in an email will be the best way, or some other form,
Well-
because there's a couple of videos. So
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get it set first, right? And then away we go.
So give us your name, where you live, and a little background of this before we
All
get
right.
too far going here.
My name is Jack Walsh. I've lived at 92 Warlick Road since June of 2016. I'm going to take it for granted that you all as town council members know where the property line is for the town of Mills River. I'll tell you, here's my house, here's the line. We're in the county, and then it goes right across the street up to the backside of Roper Farms off of Banner Farm Road. So we're on Warlick Road, and that's where we've been. So we're just literally this far from the town, but we get a lot of runoff from the town. And so this is about that. And let me just see. Okay. So this is just a introduction. My wife and I, we bought our home there in 2016. And over the course of the last 10 years, you'll be able to tell by the following photos, the changes in our yard due to the excessive amounts of runoff that have come from the agricultural field across the street. I'm an agricultural graduate. I understand farming. All right. I understand that, but there seems to be a consideration that needs to be taken. Over the last 7 years that we've lived there, we've done a lot of the self-maintenance as far as managing the ditch, having a track hoe come in there and smooth the ditch out, replant the ditch. Because when we bought in 2016, you'll see in the image, you could literally step over the ditch. Now, granted, the field across the street was not planted in tomatoes. And the rows of tomatoes are now planted perpendicular to the road. All right. It wasn't soybeans. That property's been there since Earth was created. And so over 2,000 years, you could step across this ditch. This ditch is now 5 foot wide and 5 foot deep. The last action that we took was after DOT fixed, if you traveled down Warlick Road at all, the two patches where the culverts have collapsed, and they cut those two sections out and redid those came off of the water coming off of the farm across the street. Every time I talk to somebody, whether it's county commission, whether it's this office, and the old town manager, I get kicked. I get kicked to go to, you're not in Mills River, so you got to go to the county. So I go to the county and they say, we got to talk to soil and water. You go to soil and water, you got to talk to erosion control. We go to erosion control, then you got to call somebody else, and nobody wants to touch it. I think I finally got someone who's willing to touch it. and even talked to our Senator Tim Moffett about it. What comes next? I don't know, but I'm tired of paying. All right. I'm tired of paying for a ditch, putting new riprap in it for 200 yards. It's not cheap rock, right? Y'all done work. And now you can just literally walk across this ditch because of all of the sediment that has come from across the street. So I feel like I've done my due diligence and in trying to protect what's mine. You can see in this photo, may I approach?
Sure.
So this was an aerial Google Earth photo
Mhm.
about how small the ditch was. All right. This is where it reached. So that's where it starts. This is what DOT did in August of 2023 when they picked the North River. This is what I did after DOT fixed the upper. I went ahead and redressed it all again, reseeded it, restrawed it, got it to where, okay, that's what we're gonna do. This is now what the ditch looks like. Not clean enough.
Gotcha. Okay. That's like,
So, at the end of all this, we're just trying to. I've written the letters, like I say, I came here and presented the complaint, got kicked away. I'm just tired of having to be the guy that's maintaining what eventually gets to the French Broad. All right. I've talked to other tomato growers. They say that hillside shouldn't be planted in tomatoes. It was planted in soybeans when we moved in, non-irrigated. We didn't have a problem.
have you contacted the landowner?
I have.
Um,
And I was assured that they would do something to fix it and help me fix my end. I got 2 bales of straw put on the upper end that washed out. They put up a silt fence. You saw it collapsed. It collapsed. I mean, when you're running irrigation full time and the rain that we get in the mountains of Western North Carolina, tomatoes don't need to be in that field.
Okay.
So I will get you a copy of this so that you guys can put it in for the record. And I appreciate you hearing me.
No problem.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mayor Gons,
Yes.
if I may, Mr. Walsh.
Yeah.
I recommend you you connect with our clerk here and that you can send everything to her and then she'll ensure that it gets to the council members.
Thank you.
And just, so you know, I don't really have any way to take a video into the record.
You
So
can tell
any
by the still
photo,
shots. I think the still shots.
Still
before I
shots should
played it,
be, still shots should be.
you can see.
if you
yeah.
would send me the still shot.
I will.
Okay, next on public comment, Rachel Rodriguez.
Hello. Good evening, council members. My name is Rachel Rodriguez, and as several of you know, I'm the manager of the Mills River Farm Market. I'm here today just to express our gratitude to the council and to the town for your continued support of our market and to provide a mid-season update on our progress. Somehow it's already August, and we're halfway through the season. So our market has really grown and flourished this season. We have seen a 40% increase in vendor applications from last year and are proud to have welcomed a diverse group of more than 60 vendors within a 50-mile radius of Mills River, including local farmers, artisans, and young entrepreneurs, all offering a wide variety of fresh produce, meats, and value-added products. This vibrant mix has truly enriched our community as it has for many years. Unfortunately, we have outgrown our space at the elementary school and have had to keep a wait list for several vendors this year. But we are thrilled to see our market full of vendors and customers. Which brings me to our market has also seen significant engagement from the community. We've had an average of 500 customers visit each week, which is almost a 20% increase from last year, with many taking advantage of our special programs like the demonstration kitchen, the kids zone, the live music, and yoga sessions. These programs have not only attracted more visitors, but have also fostered a strong sense of community and education. In terms of economic impact, with the help of our vendors, we have improved tracking our sales. And so I can report that approximately $131,370 has gone straight to our local farmers and producers in just 3 months. I'm particularly excited to share that we have distributed almost $1,000 in produce prescriptions and $6,160 in SNAP EBT benefits. This highlights the vital role our market plays in supporting local economies and providing access to fresh, healthy food for all community members. For members of the community that might not be aware, the council's continued support is what currently allows us to offer our Double SNAP program that we're able to offer on all food products. So we're especially grateful for that. Some of my favorite moments from this program this season so far include a family doubling their $200 to be able to stock their freezer with locally harvested meat for the season, and a single mom explaining to me that with the Double SNAP, she doesn't have to choose between high quality food and paying her bills. She can do both. So we're excited about the remainder of the season and the continued positive impact the market will have on our town. We look forward to your ongoing support and collaboration as we work together to expand the market and develop a wonderful new space that will serve our community even better. So thank you for your time and for helping us make the Mills River Farm Market a thriving hub for our community. And if you have any questions about the market, don't hesitate to ask.
Any questions while she's up? No? Okay, thank you. Jenny Shealy.
Hello, y'all. My name's Jenny Seeley. I live in North Mills River, and I need to, I know it's not on the agenda tonight, but Brown Ridge. That's going to really affect North Mills River, and maybe not in the best ways that we want it to. Actually, I kind of like the plan, just don't like where it's at. If any of y'all run past Amazon in the morning, you can see the lines of trucks that go back behind the building. That is their main entrance to Brown Ridge. So, and then Daddy and I took a trip after the planning board meeting to go check on the back end of that. And yeah, that's going to need more work too. So I would be super grateful if we could really take a lot of moments and think about the impact that 600-ish people is going to be here. I would really like to know, and I will bring this up in the next planning meeting, but you know, like the retention of this developer. You know, if we're talking about people that's only going to stay here for 6 months because they can't afford the $1,600 1-bedroom apartment, and then they transfer out, and then we get somebody new, we're not retaining people that are investing in our community. And I want them to invest. I'm the yoga teacher at the farmers market. I'm also a vendor there too. I want them to stay. I want them to know exactly who we are because we're freaking awesome. But if we don't plan it correctly, we're going to not only lose good people, but we are going to crush the people that live here. It's already like playing Frogger going across Old Fanning Bridge Road, trying to get my mail. So I'm going to have to talk to the post office about bringing it down into Clara's Trail, which they're going to buck me on because there's not a turnaround. So Daddy is 70 years old. And if I have to run to get my mail and I'm 46, you know, like he's already been clipped by a truck mirror. So, you know, the things that we decide for our community do affect us in a very personal way. So when this comes up to y'all, because I'm sure it will, because they're crossing their T's, they're dotting their I's, but I'm trying to get ahead of it because Jeffries Road hurts me in the same way. But I do understand that we need to expand, and that has to do more with taxes and income being brought in. But we also need to make sure that we have the foundation to support the people that already live here, instead of adding more onto the pile. So, and honestly, one of my close friends, her son is 16. If he went to, say, Blue Ridge after and got a trade job, you know, even if you're making $20 an hour, that's not enough for a one bedroom, $1,600 a month apartment. He's going to have to find another job. And we're not even talking about car insurance, you know, like health insurance or any taxes that he has to pay. I don't want to do that to the kids that are in high school. Don't want to do it to junior high, and I sure do not want to do it to any of the elementary. And I don't have kids, but I'm planning on those kids to be exactly what I am now, an awesome participant in our town. So, yay. Right on.
Thank you. All right, you got John Case. I got a list.
My name's John Case. I'm retired from Kimberly Clark. But I'm a chief cook and bottle washer at Valley Sawmill on Fannin Bridge. I went to the planning meeting last night. I had to take 2 blood pressure pills when I went to bed. They're talking to the townhouses down here next to the airport. Well, they kept talking about buffers and all kind of things. Well, with a jet going off the airport about 200 feet wide open, there ain't much of a buffer it's going to reach yet. But we have an industrial park. We got the high tension power lines for it. We've got all the utilities for it. To stick a townhouse right in the middle of it ain't right. So I just wanted my voice to be heard before y'all get the planning board comes to y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, I got Brian Ross.
Thank you. Brian Ross, 16 Schoolhouse Road. Just want to clarify, I'm not here on behalf of the planning board. You guys know I'm on there, but I do want to talk about what's going on there. Not that project, as we're battling that out. If you notice, we take our time on that stuff. We're not near a decision. But that feedback is fantastic. So what I do want to talk about tonight is the feedback for it's not on your agenda yet, but the recommendation for rezoning to rural residential in the current mixed use south of Turnpike and Kimsey. There are obviously not going to be all winners in any change. There's not going to be all winners if we do nothing. There are some loud, rightly upset voices that they might be on the losing end of this change. And we heard some loud, upset voices if we continue. The easiest example is frontage on 280. Those values are gonna go down if we do this. You can't argue that. You guys know I've been in real estate for over 21 years. I'm the first one to tell you that's gonna happen. And if you stick a dollar store or another massive tile store in front of from someone's front yard, the second row on 280 property loses value. The third row loses value. And before the voices get too loud, and they should be loud, because there's going to be, I hate to say it, there's going to be some people that lose out on this. There's going to be more that lose out if we don't do it, because going back to our 2040 comprehensive feedback, a huge majority wanted to see that remain rural and residential. The current recent polls wanted to see it remain rural and residential. You guys unanimously adopted the zoning, not for the area, but the zoning. 30 seconds. And the Farm Preservation Committee with council members Austin and Cantrell, farmers, myself, Lisa, John, we all had the conversation. Do we just want to maintain rural character off of 280 while we're at our house, or do we want to see it when we're driving through? And James, I'll put you on the spot. I'm not asking a question, but you'll remember multiple times, almost every meeting, properties on 280 came up that we wanted to retain. We wanted multiple properties. Randy has the one at the corner of 280 and Schoolhouse Road every time. So yeah, it's a 5-lane road, but we have room for commercial north of that. And I'd like to see us listen to the repeated majority voice when this comes in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey McGraw. Is that it? Corey? There she comes.
My name is Lori McCraw.
Corey, okay, my bad.
I'm off Butler Bridge Road. I want to note my confusion in regards to the procedures followed by the planning board. Example, Jeff Moore said at the planning meeting on Tuesday, August 6th at 5 hours, 27 minutes and 30 seconds per the YouTube video of the meeting that the planning board would discuss the rezoning and bring it back up at the next meeting, which would have been September 3rd. At 3 hours, 39 minutes and 45 seconds per the YouTube video, the planning board voted to present the matter to the town council, despite what was said earlier. The planning board presented online survey results as a justification of the rezoning of the south side of town. Only 21 of the respondents stated that they were within the rezoning area, and that's if they filled out the survey correctly. This figure cannot be accurately determined based on the survey. No identifiers were collected, for example, parcel numbers, addresses, or names. The survey could be filled out multiple times by the same respondent. I myself filled out the survey 360 times. Of the 1,000 responses received, 36% of those were from me. Now, you don't know which way my vote went, but 36% of those were from me. My point was to get the planning board to conduct a proper survey that would gather and reflect accurately the responses of the residents of the affected area. However, the planning board would rather utilize invalid data to justify their recommendations to impose rules and regulations against landowners. I'm not even a resident of the affected area, but when I see a miscarriage of authority, I must speak out against it. I request that the rezoning issue be sent back to the planning board to conduct a proper and appropriate survey that will accurately reflect the thoughts and opinions of those in the affected area. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I've got on my list. I think we still got 4 to read if none of those people presented tonight. Okay. I'll let y'all got it worked out. I'll let y'all handle who's reading first and so on.
Believe I'm starting with a public comment letter from Jimmy Cowan. This will be more than 3 minutes. So. Thoughts on development in Mills River in response to current proposal of rural residential zoning. Hello, Mills River Planning Board members and members of Town Council. I am Jimmy Cowan, a resident of Mills River and live off Presbyterian Church Road. I'm not originally from Mills River, but have lived here since 1997. I appreciate all of you giving your time to try to make a positive difference in the future of our town. I'm a strong believer in personal property rights, but realize that we have to plan and have some ordinances in place to try to maintain harmony in a crazy world. I'm very much a supporter of agriculture and rural living. With that said, below are a few points I'd like to make. 1, we can't stop growth. We can manage it a little, but we can't stop it. If we could stop it, would we want to, or should we want to stop it? We all live on what used to be vacant land, someone else's land, maybe farmland or forest land, but whatever the case, was once raw land and a pretty view or privacy for others before our own house was built. What if restrictions were in place that prevented us all to live where we currently do? We are in a very desirable part of the country, very close to a growing regional airport, 2 major interstates, a popular national forest, and many other regional attractions. Growth is inevitable. 2, let's humor ourselves for a minute and pretend Mills River can lock the gate and not let anyone else in. We have 2 main corridors coming in through Mills River. Those are Highway 280 and Highway 191. If we don't grow at all, every town around us is still growing, which will continue to increase traffic and activity on these 2 main corridors. Most of the traffic from Brevard, Rosman, Toxaway, etc. travels through us to get to and from anywhere outside their own community. Number 3, commercial development pays the bills. We have to have it to survive unless we want to become an elite community with very, very high taxes for everyone. It's a fact businesses pay much more in taxes than they require in services. Without businesses, we'll all need to pay much higher taxes as Mills River grows with residential development. Don't take my word for it, do the research. As stated earlier, I believe in personal property rights. I'm passionate about agriculture and I believe in preserving our rural character. If we don't allow businesses along the Highway 280 corridor, where will we allow them to go? The 280 corridor makes the most sense to me. We can rid many of the people passing up and down 280 each day of their excess money, helping businesses to thrive while providing those same services they are providing to outsiders, to our local residents. 280 is set up for truck traffic. Lights can be added to slow traffic down, manage access, etc. Our rural character and the farmland can be preserved on the side roads and back roads away from the main corridors. I think about going to places like Lancaster, Pennsylvania, home to one of the largest Amish settlements in the country. I love to drive the rural back roads and enjoy the scenery as a tourist, but the main road is full of businesses. Those businesses serve tourists and locals alike, but 1 or 2 streets back, the rural character is preserved. This makes sense to me. I argue the opposite of what the planning board is thinking to be true. I support the development of the 280 corridor for commercial growth where businesses are already established, and for good reason. I support preserving the rural character and farmland of Mills River away from the 280 corridor unless individual landowners wish to preserve their rural character and residential living through voluntary efforts of their own. We must remember that if someone along 280 wishes to preserve their land in agriculture or open space, they can do that through voluntary means other than the town making them do it by law or ordinance. It just makes sense from an infrastructure standpoint, maintaining harmony with residential development, keeping farm equipment off the main roads as much as possible, and promoting the safety of residents to put our businesses on the 280 corridor. They can thrive and carry much of the tax burden for the town without filling up the schools in the park while begging for a swimming pool and a bigger soccer complex. I also predict that if a recommendation is made to restrict commercial development along Highway 280 to the current council, and if council enacts this, that sometime in the next 10 years, a future council will reverse the decision and see the error in their ways. Some questions I leave you with. 1. If commercial development is not allowed on the 280 corridor, where do you want it, if at all? Who's willing to pay the bills for all of the residential growth without support of businesses? We need good businesses and they need us. It almost sounds to me like someone bought a house in the Mills River Crossing subdivision and then realized, oh blank, the developer is saving the 280 frontage for commercial development and I just gave $1 million for a house that will look right into the backside of a strip mall. I hate it for that person, but buyer beware. My thought is plant more tree buffers and be careful next time you buy. Don't penalize all of us for your mistake. 2. Why not allow commercial development up to blank number of feet off of Highway 280 and then residential behind that? Number 3, if we want to preserve farmland, which I am 100% all about, allow other commercial businesses to go where it makes the most sense. Let's face it, land along a busy 5-lane highway is too valuable to farm anyway. Some of it is being farmed because of multi-generational ownership, but absolutely no one is buying land to farm along the corridor. There is no way to ever pay for the land to farm it at today's prices. The math just doesn't work. I love the idea of preserving farmland, but some of it just can't be preserved unless the taxpayers want to support agriculture through a special program that makes it profitable to farm some land where the highest and best use is not agriculture. One other aspect to consider, whether we like it or not, 280 will look like Airport Road on the other side of the interstate, even if not developed any more than it is now, just to handle the traffic passing through as other areas grow. And will it be safe to be on a tractor with wide farm equipment in the middle of that? 4, if I can't change your mind, will you please at least consider allowing existing businesses to grow their footprint as they grow their businesses and not stifle what they have already started and worked their lives away to gain? Thank you for your time and please consider some of these ideas. I apologize for not having to be able to make the meetings dealing with this. I deeply care about the place I live, more than though I care about my neighbors and the great people I call friends here. Jimmy Cowan.
Thank you, Michael.
The next comment comes from Michael Stinson. Hello, Mr. Malachek. Please express my concerns at the town hall meeting concerning the possibility of changing the zoning on a stretch of Boylston Highway that includes my property location. My name is Robert Michael Stinson, and I reside at 8106 Boylston Highway, Mills River. I have lived here for over 8 years, and the current zoning allows me to continue a used car dealer license and operation that I have operated for over 26 years. I first had a location in Brevard for approximately 17 years. Changing the current zoning would not only destroy my livelihood, but also the value of my home. Let it be known that I am strongly opposed to any zoning change. Please make the comments known at the meeting. Your consideration would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Michael Stinson.
His address again? Thank you.
This comment comes from John and Michelle Newmeyer. Mr. Malachek, I wanted to take a moment to first thank you, the Mills River Council, and especially the Mills River Planning Board for the great meeting on Tuesday, July 23rd, on the rezoning being considered for parts of Mills River. The meeting was very educational, and we got to see what great leaders we have representing our residents. I request you share this note of thanks as well as my comments below with both the board and council as they consider this important change. My wife and I started visiting Mills River back in 2013, and we fell in love with the rolling hills and the undeveloped feel to the area. Had we wanted to live in an area with more housing developments or a main street, we could have done that. There are plenty of communities like that. We chose Mills River exactly because it wasn't that. And we were fortunate to find land, a former dairy farm, back in 2014 on Toll Allison Road, and have since built our home on the property. When we first received the postcard, it was like Christmas. We were so excited that the leaders of Mills River recognized and listened to the residents about minimizing future housing developments. We quickly responded to the survey and attended the meeting on 7/23. I will not rehash most of the rezoning comments here. I believe you heard folks loud and clear, both in the survey and that evening. My only additional comment is in regards to the minimum acres needed for homes. We all agree that we will grandfather current residents' property and ability to build. If a person bought 1 acre years ago, they should have the right to build a home there. My fear is that the recommended future minimum of 1.5 acres isn't enough to deter developers from coming in and building large developments of houses, which totally destroys the feeling of our community and creates so many other infrastructure issues, roads, schools, etc. I would love to see this much higher, like 3 to 5 acres per home, but I do understand a compromise is needed. Perhaps consider and discuss raising to 2 or 2.5 acres per home. I do believe this would accomplish our goal of enabling Mills River to retain the country, rolling hills, and farmland that it is currently known for. Thank you again for your time and for taking this on. Best wishes on getting this approved as soon as possible before more building begins that we cannot go back and change and that will be with us for generations. John and Michelle Newmeyer.
Thank you.
I've got the last one from Jerry Britton, and I realize this was also published in the Hendersonville Lightning today. Mills River at a crossroads. Billy Kimsey serves on the Town of Mills River Planning Board. Occasionally, he comes by to discuss issues facing the town with me, a community elder. Currently, the planning board is faced with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to guide development from the 191 intersection to the Transylvania County line. I suggested to Billy that the challenge is to keep this corridor from helter-skelter strip development such as the US 25 corridor through Fletcher. I think the planning board should seek advice from landscape architects experienced in large-scale planning of mixed-use corridors such as NC 280. Currently, space exists for creation of a linear parkway with nodules of residential, commercial, and professional offices separated from the main thoroughfare by tree-lined frontage roads. Time is rapidly running out for this opportunity. A great example of this kind of corridor may be seen in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, a rapidly growing suburb of Charleston. The charter for the town of Mills River contains the lofty goal of guiding growth and development in a way that preserves the rural character of the community. This goal amounts to having the cake and eating it too, and is especially challenging in a community with little appetite for zoning. To achieve the goal will require members of the council and planning board to place the future of the community ahead of political careers. Several years ago, Christopher Alexander and his students at the University of Oregon developed a group process for seeking consensus on controversial issues. They named the process Pattern Language and published a book on the topic that is now a classic in community planning. Following are some statements that might find agreement among the stakeholders in the NC 280 corridor. 1, we would like for the corridor to maintain its rural character. 2, we would like for property owners to be well compensated for land required for public use in the corridor. 3, we would like for growth and development within the corridor to consist of a few high-density nodules such as residential, commercial, and professional, And lastly, we would like for the corridor to have a tree-lined parkway appearance with limited access thoroughfare, journeying on Jerry Britton.
So is that all we got? Anyone else, for public comment? Now's the time. Nope. None? Okay, we'll move on with our meeting. All right, we've moved our consent agenda item down, so there's nothing to be done there. Regular agenda, quarterly financial, dashboard.
Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying, even though this is a June 30 report, it is unaudited. So some of the numbers could change.
Okay.
And as is my, maybe not the best habit, my habit, I'm gonna start in the right corner and go counterclockwise, or I guess that's clockwise. Anyway, you'll see a few little changes in this, mostly in the headings. As I've been working with Mr. McCarahan, trying to tweak it here and there to hopefully make it a little better, a little easier to understand. You'll probably see a few more changes as we go forward. Some things I'd like to particularly point out in your revenues, your miscellaneous revenue and contributions, the percent of the budget is over 27,000. And that's because we budgeted $100, but in order to keep this as concise as possible, it also includes your Mills River Day donations and your Johnston property lease agreement. So that threw that item well over. So it skews it a little bit. Your transfer from fund balance is what takes your is huge, and that it's over $3 million. That was at the first of the year. And that was to cover the purchase of some property and all of your capital projects. On your expenditures, all of your departments came in at or under budget. Your capital reserves and outlay line, just so you know, that's not just your reserves and not just your capital, but a lot of those projects were not completed this year. And so those funds essentially will roll for the next year. Fund balance percentage at the estimates at the end of the year is 79.36%. Your policy calls for 65 to 75% of your budget. So we're in good shape that way. Fund balance commitments continue to grow in that we're saving for the future. You have 2 capital reserve funds, some money that was is assigned fund balance for future law enforcement needs. You've got a small fund for assigned building maintenance, but your total uncommitted funds are 3.6 million. On your back up on the left top, your capital budget expenditure percentage, the line item for park, ramp, and stairs, looks like we didn't budget much for that. That project has had some delays, but is going forward more this year. So, most of that budget was borrowed to cover other line items. One would be that we did fund nonprofits more than we originally planned. The UDO, basically all of those funds have been rolled to the new year because the project was delayed with management change, and those funds are gone because they also were moved up into the budget. A lot of that also was to cover your fire department line item, because as seems to be a habit, your tax collector collects more than is budgeted for it. So we have to pay the fire department more than we planned. So I would welcome any questions.
If I may, before we move to questions, just one point of clarification, and Clerk Pell, correct me if I'm wrong. When you're looking at the operating budget and the capital budget in the top left-hand corner, those are amended operating and capital budget. So that's why you're not seeing any overages potentially in those categories, because they are as of the amended budget when this is put together.
Thank you.
Question? Would like- Any more? Any questions? No?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sue.
All right. The next item is the budget amendments for the capital project fund. If you remember, I brought this to you in May, and I said a lot of the repairs for the Hickory shelter and a few additional items that needed to be purchased were all put into the park budget. Didn't feel it was the appropriate place, and you allowed the an ordinance to be adopted that amended that budget and gave us additional funds from fund balance to balance it. And when all was said and done, I had now had an overage of $1,500. That was partly because I did not allow for sales tax that we'd already paid in yet another line item in our budget, and it was insignificant enough to not move into that fund. But also there was a decision to leave a few smaller items in the park budget. So I am presenting you with ordinance 2024-12 to basically take that $1,544.92 and put it back into the fund balance
Okay.
because we did not need it.
I'd entertain a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-12, amending the capital project ordinance Hickory Shelter as written.
Thanks, Shay. Second.
I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion on this?
Yes. Yes, it does. It came out. Do repairs. Yes, I'm told that every invoice has been paid, and that there's nothing outstanding. And this is, and I should have added this and I did not. I had a preliminary meeting with our new auditor, and this was his recommendation to completely close this fund, to do this ordinance. But yes, everything is complete.
Okay.
And this will be backdated to June 30 for last year's books.
Okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay. So now we're down to the UDO conversation. I guess Malchek will lead us in that. Thank you, Mike.
Sure. Thank you all. So council approved the UDO contract with Code Right Planners at the July 11th meeting. Due to the management transition, there's been a bit of delay, so we're trying to hit the ground running with this now. So the next step is to form a UDO steering committee, just like we did for the bicycle and pedestrian plan. The consultant recommends that a successful steering committee is comprised of technical experts and constituent representatives that can navigate and interpret complicated land use codes, because we're going to be reviewing draft codes put together by the consultant. The committee basically provides initial reactions to what the consultant puts together, but doesn't vote on them. That will all go before the planning board and council for final consideration. There's about 7 steering committee meetings during the 18-month time frame, and the consultant recommended about 7 to 10 members. So I recommended that we use Board of Adjustment and Planning Board members, since those are our members that are most knowledgeable of the codes and usually interpret them in our meetings. So again, my suggestion is we appoint 4 members of the Board of Adjustment and 4 to 5 of the Planning Board, but that's at council's pleasure. And there should be a paper in front of you showing which members are available to serve.
So, council's pleasure. I'd entertain a motion to, nominate or appoint, however y'all want to do this.
Just like these, there's only four. That are available, that are not thought of yet.
That overlaps with BOA, Jeff Moore, Brian Ross, I think so. And then Jim Foster is an alternate.
Mayor Gantz, I'm inclined.
Okay. So I'm good with that. We've got the chair of the planning board. Do you see that being a difficulty or? And then next question I have is this, do you need this before they meet again and we meet again?
I was hoping we could do it tonight, but we can
I see what
delay it a
that's
little
why I'm
bit.
asking.
Yeah.
Cause we're looking at approximately, a month delay if we wait, correct?
Yeah, the goal with trying to get it done tonight was the consultants looking to get their first visit scheduled out here, and we were looking to line that up with one of the council meetings. So ideally, we were trying to do September 12th. If we wait, we'd probably have to push it out to end of September, early October, which is gonna probably push the whole project out a month or two.
Okay. I think we can get there, can't we? But I mean, we just don't want to hurt nobody's feelings.
There's only 6 on here that are even.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't want anybody to take any offense to this, so we're just trying to pick some members here. So we know we're taking 4 from Board of Adjustments as it is right now.
Has anybody spoken with them and said they want?
Is
Is that what they agree?
Nominate up, well, we can either vote on them or we can just appoint, what do you need, 3 more, 4 more?
It's at the board's pleasure. Again, this is just a suggestion.
7?
So again, we've got 4 Board of Adjustment members. As Ms. Davis said, those could be immediately appointed. And then again, I'm just suggesting 4 to 5 from the planning board. If council wants to appoint all of them, that'd put us at 10. That's a little big, but again, it's council's pleasure.
Do that. That way.
It's all about just looking at the draft code products, the work products from the consultant.
If all of them's willing to do it, then I would suggest we just put them all on there. And then if somebody misses 1 or 2 meetings, it's not a big deal. You still got plenty of people to give suggestions. Is that fine? Board okay with that? Somebody make that in a motion. So we're going with 4 from the Board of Adjustments. 7, Lonnie's not available. So 6, okay. So 6 from planning board. Names taken from this list that was presented to us that was for availability.
That's your motion, Sandra.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, we got first, got second. Any more discussion on this before I call for a vote? None? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. So we're back to the minutes. Let me get my head straight. July the 11th. So what you want to discuss?
In the minutes from July 11th, I would like to discuss the section for resolution 2024-08 adopting the work plan.
Uh-huh.
The minutes were not completely accurate as I remember the meeting. And I would like to see the section more accurate as the action.
So, help me out. So where they've got the basics in here, but you want more detail?
I'd like to have that section done verbatim.
Okay, well, let's see what council's pleasure is. So where's the rest of you at with it? I had this discussion with them, told them just to, get it as accurate as they could. You know, and so this is what they brought us back. I looked at it. I said, hey, it's got what it needs in it. But you tell us what you want and I'll call for a vote and we'll get it done. So you're asking for verbatim for that section, dog in the workplace, correct?
Yep.
If I got any more support for that? Okay. Only thing I'm gonna say is the mayor here, I feel like we might be setting a precedent that we might have to do everything verbatim. I talked to the lawyer about it. She said the clerks have a lot of power when it comes to what they're putting in those minutes. And if you get too particular on certain items, the next thing you know, the whole thing will have to be recorded and typed in as it was spoke out, almost like a court reporter situation. So just know that as I brought this up
Okay.
after
Well-
talking to Sharon about it.
As I've been told, the minutes are the actual legal document that goes with the meeting. The video is not.
Exactly.
So I do believe they do need to be accurate in all cases.
But in this, as I read this right here, is there anything in that that is not accurate? I think you're saying not, I don't think accurate's the right word here. It's maybe
There-
not as detailed as,
It was in the meeting.
I got you. And I can understand that. But the fact of the matter is, could we pick the rest of this apart and say it's the same in these other sections as well? That's what I'm just trying to dodge. Is having to get it all as accurate as possible on everything when we've got the documentations, the paperwork trail that follows. Am I thinking right, Shay? You as previous mayor?
Transcription.
Yeah,
A word for word transcription of the meeting, the synopsis of the meeting.
If I may, counsel,
Sure.
just for further clarification, the term that you will be hearing is the term fair and accurate when it comes to minutes. And when people hear that term, fair and accurate, they're an interpretation about what fair and accurate is. But based off of North Carolina law, and general statutes, what you have before you and before that in that section is considered fair and accurate by North Carolina general statute. There is, what that also means though is that that's the minimal standard that is necessary in order to be considered fair and accurate. Councils have discretion, as you all have currently in this discussion, about whether or not to add more or less based off of the conversation that you all are currently having. But I just wanted to make sure for clarification for those listening at home and those listening in the audience, but the fair and accurate standard is being met by these minutes in their current form. The other thing I would just caution is if we, and this is again, up to the will of council and for the discretion of council to decide, that if there are some minutes that, that council wishes to have verbatim or have more or less than in other sections, that does create subjectivity. And so the ability for, and for staff to be able to determine which area may be of more or less consequence, so therefore needed to be, I would say, have more input or have verbatim sections are going to be difficult for staff to determine because items of consequence are up to the determination of each individual council member. So I would ask as well by this discussion that we do try to steer towards a consistency standard that would both allow staff to be able to create minutes and be able to present them in a way that they feel confident to meet council's needs without that subjectivity as a part of it.
and that's pretty much exactly what Sharon Alexander told me as well. So, I'm back to you guys.
Two things. One, thank you for letting us have this discussion. And the second thing would be that
So, talk to me. Where you at?
Well, from the first set of minutes I got for that, it was totally different than this, and then these were redone and given to us, and they're as vague as a glass of water. But if y'all are good with going with it,
Well,
I mean,
you'll,
let's
you'll,
get
s-
more discussion going.
well, you'll see this a lot, where it's
Are we
just,
gonna do all our minutes like that?
well, it's up to you. I mean,
I
it's either gonna be let the clerks do it and do it as they see fit and us agree to it as either in the consent agenda or bring it out like we did tonight and discuss it. Or we're gonna have to make it all verbatim. If we make it all verbatim, it's gonna cost because they can't got time to do them. We're gonna have to hire it done, cause it'd be like a court report at that point. It would be like every word verbatim. And I just don't wanna see us get into that mess.
Well, it just seems like none of the other sections that are done were done like that. But if that's how we're gonna do them, then let's just start doing all sections like that, and we'll just have real thin minutes.
Well, let me ask you this. If you was doing them, what would you like to see in them? What would you like to see in that section? It might help.
A fair representation of the meeting.
So let me ask you this then. Would you like to see these things, these set of minutes tabled and come back to this at a later date?
We can.
Well, but we got to figure out, we would have to give, if we start giving them guidance, so that's the only way they were going to know. They've done it one way. We didn't like it and we've asked them to do it over and they come out with the simplest form possible. So I just don't feel like it's fair for us to tell them exactly what to put in those minutes.
I'm not telling them exactly what to put in those minutes, but a fair representation of minutes. If you would like to hire that one section out and let somebody else do it and let them do a fair representation of minutes, I would like to see what they put in there.
Okay, but I don't know that that's even possible. If it's not verbatim, I don't know that that's even possible. But if we do that, my problem is, and he's just told us the same thing, and our town attorney's told me the same thing. We've got to handle this very carefully because we'll set a standard to where everything needs to be done a certain way. And it could get very expensive when we've got all the paper details and even to back it all up. It tells us in here what we talked about, that Mr. Baldwin drafted resolution 2024-08, dogs in the workplace resolution. Mr. Baldwin read his staff report and the staff report's highlighted. So that staff report will be part of the
So it's
package if anybody ever
Yeah.
wanted to see it.
hyperlinked. People can click on the blue things and get
There
to
you,
it.
there you go. Thank
it
you,
right.
Shay. Citing the attachments to the resolution. Discussion followed. Council member Young made a motion to adopt the resolution as written. Council member Good seconded the motion. The motion was passed unanimously by verbal assent.
Okay, but I also made a comment in that meeting that the decision was not reached lightly, that with the comments that the town attorney and the League of Municipalities gave us, that those were taken into consideration, but none of that's in here.
So, but that's something that you'd like to see in there.
It is.
Okay. Was that something you'd like to see in there? I'm just asking. I'm gonna ask everybody. I'm not putting you on the spot.
Your discussion with the town attorney, the town manager.
Okay. James, would you like to see, her?
Discussion followed. We did discuss it, but it keeps the emotion out of it, just the two words. At least for it. And discussion followed is, it's in here quite a bit.
Yeah. Shay,
No, I feel like those are like newspaper quotes. I don't think that's stuff that needs to be in the minutes.
okay. So with that being said, are we okay with these minutes as presented? If so, we need a motion to approve these minutes. If not, we go back and discuss more. Up to you guys. Okay. Well, I need a motion one way or the other if someone would.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as,
First.
as written.
Okay, second? Okay, got it. First, second. Any more discussion? Open for discussion. None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Right. So, let me see where I'm at here. I've lost my paper. So now we're down to the rural residential discussion. You want to lead us in that, Michael?
The real point of asking council to put this on the agenda tonight was to just set the public hearing date. So on Tuesday, the planning board recommended approval of the rural residential rezoning to town council. And so again, we can't, we have to meet public notice requirements. We can't do that until a hearing's set. Traditionally, we come to the governing board to do that, and staff is suggesting September 26th.
September 26th. Okay, council, where are you at with this? You ready to move forward with this? Let me tell you what I've been doing. I've been going house to house along 280's corridor. The only problem is when Shannon Gotts knocks on the door, I'm there for 2 hours. So I've been to 11 houses so far, and it's hard to, so that's 22 hours I've spent on this. The vote right now, if it was passed as presented, would be 8-3, 8-4, 3 against. And I've talked to some business owners, which I ain't got them in that 11, but it's like going through the store, mention it, you know, so on and so forth. They really don't understand. So my suggestion would be y'all try to do some of the same, because we're hearing it, we're not getting fair and accurate. I heard that the last time she repeated it tonight. So the only way I know to do is to go and actually talk to the people face to face. You learn a lot more about everything else too than just this, but it's a lot of that you need to, but a lot of that you need to know too. But the problem is if they would just come to this public hearing on this, and this is a big event, folks, it might be a 2-3 night event. And we may have to rent out the auditorium at West High School to get them in there. But I want to hear what the people want. I've lived here my whole life. The only time I leave here is when I go on vacation. I can't wait to get back. So you better not leave this up to me as to what to do with it, because I think it's ruined already. So don't leave it up to me. And I'll be honest though, going house to house, I have to be very careful about my approach because I want a good, honest answer from them. So I kind of put it on the table to them. I carry one of the cards. I let them try to read it first if they will and see if they've even done the survey. But I want them to know that something's fixing to happen, and I don't want to hear later on that I didn't try to do something. But it's going to be impossible to get to all of them. But that's something that we need to work toward. And I just don't know my strategy if that date allows me to talk to enough people. If I knew they would come out in droves and get up here and give me 3 minutes of their time and tell us what they want done with this up through there, I'll go with the majority. That's where I'm at with it. But I want to know what these people really want. And you have to explain it to a lot of them because they don't understand. They don't understand that what could happen up through there. They don't understand that either. And I have to leave that out till they get to tell me kind of what they want. I try to leave that part out of the discussion, hopefully they bring it up. Well, what if? And then I can say, yep, that is one of them. Yeah. What if? Yeah, they could do that. So I would suggest if anybody could, to try to spend a little time doing it. If you can only go to 5 or 10, you might get a gist of what the majority might want. But, with that being said,
Would you want to push it to October?
that's what I don't know. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
There's no pressure from staff to set the public hearing now, but I will say there's some urgency from the planning board on
Sure.
this. Because again, we've put developers on notice, and I'll just tell you, I've talked to many of them because they're asking for information that they are all rushing to get plans in. So that's why I brought it to you as quickly as possible, because that was kind of where the planning board was coming from. The other thing to consider is when you set the public hearing, if it does end up being September 26th, that's what we notice to the public. So that's when we would send out letters because it's a large scale rezoning, half-page ad in the paper. But again, the hearing could always be continued. It doesn't mean a decision has to
Right.
be made that night.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
again, council's pleasure if you want to delay it.
Does council feel like, or staff feel like, that even this first meeting on this public hearing, we could hold them all in here?
At planning board, we had about 60 folks and it was, people were standing.
But don't you feel like if they think there's a decision gonna be made on it, there's gonna be a lot more?
Well, that's
Or
what I'm
the-
saying. At the planning board meeting, just from the postcards, the room was full.
What logistically, I mean, could we move that event or to a different facility? Or is that, how does that work? I mean, we've never had to do that, have we, Sue?
Actually, we have.
Okay.
Um, trying to remember where we used. I know we've used the community center on Schoolhouse Road. But there was somewhere else we used. So,
Okay.
I would actually defer to Nicole on whether, whether or not the current, MOU would allow us to get to the school.
My first suggestion, find a bigger places to reach out to our elementary schools about. Obviously, we couldn't make a decision right now if that date would be available, but I would certainly be happy to reach out to the principals there. And I'm sure they would be willing to work with us if it's a possibility.
And we would just need to know that before sending public notice out, because we will notice the location, obviously. So if that's a possibility council wants to look into, I would say, we can look into that and then we can set the public hearing at a later date and give you some options on venues.
Okay. So we'll rediscuss this at our next meeting and, try to set that date at that time. That's what we're saying.
If that's council's pleasure, yeah.
What's? Yeah. Yeah. I think just in that in general, just let everybody know it's a big ticket item. They need to attend if possible. And well, I mean, for advertising, if we move it out, if we make a decision of setting the date out till the next meeting, it's gonna have to be up in the end of September. I don't know. We just don't know where we could go for sure. That's
We can come
I
back to
wish I
you.
thought about this.
The,
earlier. I could've got y'all on it.
Yeah, and again, planning board just acted on Tuesday, which is why we tried to rush to get it to you.
Gotcha.
Council's rescheduled meeting is on the 29th, so that's the soonest it would come back before you. And with public notice requirements, honestly, we'd probably have to have the hearing on October 10th.
Unless we just did a special meeting. Could we just hold a special meeting just for that? We could, couldn't we?
Like an additional public input special meeting.
No, just a special meeting.
Oh,
Ju-
council meeting.
Just for that
Got it.
only. Yeah. Call the meeting to order, say the pledge, and then get right into that.
And yes, you can always hold a special meeting or a public hearing if you choose to do so.
We would have to coordinate if you would want that noticed, because again, we wouldn't send mailers out unless it's the public hearing for the rezoning.
That's what
Okay.
it means, is having the
Oh,
public
just for that.
hearing being a special meeting.
Yeah, the hearing
Got
being
it.
special, yeah, exactly. Okay. Give me 1 minute, Mr. Foster. So, with that being said, we'll start working on finding us a location. Yeah, okay. With the most potential school kids and everybody being affected being Mills River, let's start with them first and see and then we'll work around. Mr. Foster, come on up.
I just have, and Sue may need to correct me on this. The meeting we had and that Michael was talking about. Sue said you sent out the minutes, I believe. There was like 25 people spoke at that meeting. And I don't have it with me.
I'm not sure which meeting you're referring to.
Listen,
But
are
all
you
those
talking about the
meetings online.
joint, planning board
Yeah.
when, yeah, okay.
Well, you was here.
Yeah.
There was like, if I remember right, it was like 25 people that, and I had to, you listed who they were and how they voted.
And you're referring to the joint meeting
Yes.
on July 23rd? I was not there.
No,
Patty
okay.
Brown took
Patty
those
did it.
minutes.
But out of the
Well, I'm sorry, Patty
25,
took them.
Yeah,
there
those
was like
were my minutes.
6 people against this, what we're talking about here.
Okay.
So I think the people have already spoken. They came out in mass for that. So that, and they would also have that opportunity to go ahead, if you go ahead and have the public hearing set. But I think the people have already spoken. They were.
Well, I just want to, Mr. Foster, I just, on this here, it's involving a lot of land, a lot of
Absolutely.
supposedly money.
And I do have some problems with it myself.
I know.
That I think need to be corrected.
Yeah, and I think, and that's another thing too, to be honest with you, they sent it forward on Tuesday and I've yet to have a chance to even look through exactly what all it entails.
Yeah.
You know, so I need some time with it
There
myself.
there was a couple of things that, the emails that Michael read tonight that I think it needs further consideration. I think we basically talked about that at the planning board. But we need to start somewhere with this. And then as far as the overlay corridor we were talking about, that I think is one that needs to be considered.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we got through, any more discussion on, rural residential for now? We'll find us some bigger meeting place hopefully and go from there. All right.
For clarification, Mayor Gons, are you, is council directing us to, table this discussion or table this item until the August 29th meeting?
Yes, yes, to set a date. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, when we get caught up, staff updates.
Okay, mine is easy. The audit begins next Monday. The new auditors will be on site Tuesday through Thursday. In case council wanted to meet them, no requirement. It's just, it is the first audit they are doing for us. You will meet them when they present the final report, October or November.
Okay. Is that all you got for me? All right, Arlie.
You may notice that I did not have a formal printed tax report. It's the first council meeting of the month, but I'd only had $47.86 to report.
Okay.
So you'll get your traditional report next month. We got the tax file, all the information from the county on the 23rd of July. We approved the proofs for the bills on Tuesday. They should be in the mail no later than Monday. So far, the levy is somewhere short of 3.75 million.
Okay.
We haven't gotten the utility bills. We get them from the North Carolina Department of Revenue in September.
And that number you give me does include the fire department's portion as well, right?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're still collecting delinquent bills. We got almost $2,000 for prior years in
Awesome.
July and August.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
All right, Nicole, Parks and Rec.
I have a question.
Oh, hang on. Arlie, sorry.
I've already received my Henderson County tax bill. Is
Mhm.
Mills River mailed theirs out yet?
Ours should go out by Monday at the latest.
Okay, are they gonna mail them out to all residents or just a percentage of them this year?
They go to every address that I got from Henderson County.
Okay, if they're not, can you let us know and we can come pick them up here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're available online as well.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be printed online.
Okay, Elliot, you good? Parks and Rec.
Just a few things. So tomorrow is the last weekday of the year before school starts back. So we are having Splash Bash in the park. Hopefully this weather's gonna hold off and our wind's gonna stay down. So from 11 to 4, we're gonna have a huge party out here. We got some water slides, really fun activities for the kids. So that's from 11 to 4 tomorrow. And then also Saturday is our movie in the park. We will be playing, oh shoot. Aquaman. I'm
Right
already
after,
on
right
Manga
after
in
the
September.
water in the park.
So yeah, Aquaman will be this Saturday. We have field games starting at 6, and the movie will start at dark, approximately 8:30. Just for with weather, keep an eye on our website and our social media just in case. Even if it's not raining, wind is always a concern with both these events. So we will do our best to get the word out if there needs to be a change in location. Other than that, we have reposted our maintenance technician position. So if you know anyone looking for that job, we are hoping to get to add a good team member very soon. So please send them our way. That's all I got.
Hey, Michael, anything else?
Yeah, very brief. Just very busy with the UDO right now, and the only other thing I wanted to mention is just that we're working on the solicitor's ordinance behind the scenes, since council brought that up before, so you'll see that at some time in the future.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McCarran.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for a great first meeting, and I appreciate this opportunity and to see everyone out in the audience as well today. I also just want to have a few items as well, but before I start, I also just want to say thank you to the staff here. They've been incredibly warm and welcoming over the past week and a half, getting me up to speed on all the things that make Mills River great, and I'm excited for many more amazing opportunities in the future. So a few items, as I mentioned, as we've already talked about, the August 22nd meeting has been moved to August 29th, so I'd recommend marking that on your calendars. The draft lease agreement that came forward to council, I believe at the July 11th meeting, was approved via consent agenda by Henderson County on Monday. And so right now we are working on the next steps in that, which my goal will be to bring the actual lease agreement to you all at the August 29th meeting. Also at that time, as we've talked about before, the resolution about dogs in the workplace, as a part of that, about updating policies for the town. Those policies will be, the implementation of that is scheduled for September 9th, which would be 60 days from the July 11th date. So at the August 29th meeting, if there are policies as well that need to be brought before council, that will be a part of that agenda as well. Last but certainly not least, we heard this morning that there were some texts going around to Mills River residents asking for you to click a link and share your thoughts in a quick 3-minute survey. And I just wanted to let the residents know that the town of Mills River currently does not have any survey out in the field right now. So that survey and that text service is not affiliated with the town of Mills River. So I just want to let people be aware, we are posting when we hear information about that. We are putting those items on social media as well to push it out to let you know, our residents know as fast as humanly possible, whether or not items such as that are legitimate from the town or from outside sources. And so I'd highly recommend, if you don't already follow our social media pages, please do so. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to have you on board. You seem to be doing a great job for the first week. No problem. All right, council comments. Anything? Nothing? Okay, all right. I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Shay. Second? Thank you, Jeff. All in favor? Aye. Okay. What a mess I've got here.